So we were doing a big camp night out, the pick a point of light kind of excursion. Let's go see that. Let's go see that. We were on foot. We picked a blue light off in the distance, worked our way there, many distractions along the way, but persevered and got up to this blue light. And it ended up being this giant bust statue of a gorilla with epaulets and human breasts and a gold chain around its neck that said, "Be Art." And our entire camp could not have been more disappointed. Like, we walked how far to see this?
It's better than the selfie art I found last year.
How big a bust would, like, a life size?
Oh, bigger than life size. You couldn't touch the top of it. So it was pretty big. I believe it's done by the same artist that does the big words, like the love and all of those big words. But yeah.
The bird cut out big words as opposed to the other big words. Not the watch face big words.
That is one more point for Big Tits Bad Art on Playa.
Yes.
You know what this non-cohesive piece of art needs? Boobs.
Yes.
I'd like it more if I was looking at some boobs. Fucking art, man.
That was a disappointment. But it did kind of spur on one of our camp projects that we do now, because we would always just, rate the art. And we have some people in our camp that are really good at these just quippy 2-word reviews as we walk away from an art piece. So we started a way for people to leave reviews called WELP. And
oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
So we started collecting reviews last year, and I think it's one of those examples of convergent thinking, because it turns out there was another WELP camp last year as well, and they found us and came to our camp and gave us a bad review.
Let's podcast.
This is terrible all around.
Well, hey there, folks, and welcome back
to Accuracy Third. I guess. So I guess what with starting this episode and all, we should first direct all of our listeners to put down their podcast phones and pick up their YouTube phones and check out quite possibly the most brilliant thing that YouTube has pointed in my direction, like in 3 or 4 years, the Ordinary Sausage channel.
Yes, run, don't walk to your nearest screen and avail yourself of no less than 2 episodes of Ordinary Sausage. Any 2, but don't stop with just 1.
Because it's gonna seem gross and like you don't like it and you don't understand why anyone would make this, and then.
Your favorite podcast weirdos wouldn't lie to you, would they?
I'm D-Day.
I'm Beth.
I'm Rex.
And this is Accuracy Third. This week on Accuracy Third, we have Ellen from the Playa Pops. Beth, why don't you tell me and our listeners what you know about the Playa Pops?
They're a bunch of musicians who are comfortable dragging their real goddamn instruments out to Playa, and they rehearse like a handful of times, and then they play like symphonies and David Bowie.
Well, that's been our episode. Thanks for covering all the content.
Well, it's pretty close. This episode is not scored with David Bowie, but it is scored with the Playa Pops doing Pink Floyd as well as Bach. Have you ever had any experiences with incredibly cultured performance on Playa?
Well, I think Beth and I shared an experience with very cultured performance on Playa. You know the one I'm talking about? It's actually happened to us a couple of times now. On at least a couple of occasions now, we've been walking back towards home late at night and
so
walked
right.
past center camp and just been transfixed and drawn in by the gravity of opera, just gorgeous arias being ripped on the performance stage.
I am such a fucking snot, and I don't like opera conceptually because of what I feel like is a bunch of dated ideas and too much money and too many people. But like there is something about the sound of that human's voice, like a really solid opera singer just belting it the fuck out.
Both times just sucked us in.
Yeah, we don't even need to like ask the question. We're like, nope, never mind. We were headed home, but now we're going here.
And I don't really like opera at all.
Same person both times?
Mm-hmm.
Killer.
Yeah.
She was.
She's a quite a Valkyrie of a human being, like has a barrel chest and is super tall and like just it's so lovely and beautiful and haunting to hear that out on Playa. Through all of the like weird oons and generators and all that stuff, suddenly you can make out a human voice that is doing like acrobatics.
Mm-hmm. Like late at night, walking into center camp, it's like just this piercing golden voice and the crown flags flapping. Just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Classy shit. That's what we're about.
Classy cultural ass shit in the dust. I also had apparently an experience that I was mistaken about. I thought I saw Playa Pops do their harmonica. I'm sorry, not harmonica, kazoo performance. But in dusting my room, I found my kazoo, and it is actually a burning band kazoo, not a Playa Pop kazoo. So
how dare you misrepresent it?
When I was editing it, I realized that if you did have a Playa Pops kazoo, you probably grabbed it out of Marsha's desk with all of the rest of the Burning Man history that was abandoned in her drawers.
Are you saying I'm not a man who could acquire his own kazoo?
I'm just saying that had you
right.
seen the Playa Pops,
right.
you would have remembered it. You've got a mind, unfortunately, similar to a steel trap.
So here's the thing about my steel trap mind. If I read something or have something explained to me, it sticks. If I experience something, it goes into the squishy soup of things I may or may not have actually experienced, especially at Burning Man.
You just got to turn on the closed captioning for your Apple goggles, man. That's what $3,500 will get you. Not literally my first 4 cars.
What about you, Mr. Day? What's your cultural nose in the air shishi experience at Burning Man?
I don't think I have one.
Not a one?
Not a one. For most of my Burning Man experience, with the exception of like the past 5 years, I have mostly spent my time not at Burning Man 5 or 6 months out of the year performing in the Bay Area. So what I have done when I go out to Burning Man is avoid performance in almost all of its forms because I get that in the default world. Now that I haven't been performing all that much the past handful of years, or really leaving the house for that matter, the idea of seeing a performance at Burning Man is no longer a thing that like I have a knee-jerk reaction against. So I am kind of interested in keeping my ears perked up and my eyes open and seeing if I stumble on any sort of performance that grabs me, either intellectually or emotionally.
Or physically.
Yeah, I'm down.
I've seen solo violinists just like break out their instrument and amplifier and loop stuff and do crazy things in open playa and pack up and go away. I saw a guy jamming on his guitar right across the street from one of the dance camps, just like foot up on his amp. He drew a crowd. That was great.
You ought to if you spent like $1,700 on a guitar. Them shits are not cheap.
Guitar!
And you cannot find them in a church basement rummage sale. And if you do, accuracy heard, please shoot us an email because I have been jonesing for a guitar for like 30 years now.
Make D-Day's dreams come true and get him a guitar.
I need like 15 negative punk rock points, and only you can help me get there. So we've gone through the obligatory culture section of the intro. Now on to the mysticism. Beth, have you experienced any true serendipities on Playa?
I don't think I've had a serendipity. I've had coincidence. Like strong coincidence.
Strong disagree.
I think Carolina Sunshine.
That was
I think
high level serendipity.
that is strong coincidence. I feel like I've had these lovely moments where I've run into people that I know on Playa, including Carolina Sunshine and my friend from Seattle, Louie, and like Nark Nark. Like,
Nark.
I take those as strong coincidences. Serendipity is like someone I wouldn't have expected on Playa that I just ran into there. And I've never had that. I would love to. I keep inviting everyone, and there's like a short list of people I know in my life where I'm like, God, I hope someday I run into them out on Playa. But no, that's the level that I would count serendipity. I didn't expect you to be here, and suddenly there's someone that I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Beth, I invite you to open your mind and buckle your seatbelt and maybe get ready for a little bit of an honest cry, and wait until you hear about quite possibly the most incredible serendipity we have ever featured on this podcast, period.
Aw.
Undersell it, why don't you?
Everyone. This is Ellen's fucking story.
Woo.
Hi,
Hi, Ellen.
It's Ellen.
it's me.
Well, point of order before we start. Is that a moth up there near the ceiling?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
It's moth season here, too.
Where is here?
Oh, here is Fort Collins, Colorado, north of Denver.
Ooh.
Do you have a thriving Burning Man community around you?
Ooh, I kind of wish we did. We have a lot of burners, but not much of a central group. I just was hanging out with some burners last night, and we were talking about how we would love to get that to change.
How far from Denver are you?
It's about an hour. So there's a lot of burner events that are, pretty close by. It just would be nice to have it even closer.
Is it one of those situations where the big city sucks all the oxygen out of the room?
Yeah, the big city is kind of where things end up happening because there's more people. But I know there's a lot of burners here, and we do have some cool events happening. We have a new group in town called the Bike Mob, and there's very many burners in that group. They throw a lot of bike parade type events, ride to a DJ party or a bike prom, and some fun events like that. So there's definitely a little seedling community. We just need a little more organization, I think. That's what we need.
Sounds like what you all need is a regional contact.
Yeah, that might be the case. Yeah, we have a Denver Decom, which is fun, in October after the burn, and a couple of Colorado regional burns as well. So we've got some good burn stuff, just not right down the road from me, unfortunately.
We have kind of the inverse situation living in the Bay Area. Like, we don't have a regional because we do the big burn.
Right, that's your regional.
Like, there are regionals all around us. There's a Santa Cruz regional. There's all sorts of events and stuff that happen in the Central Valley. But because we're in the Bay Area, we don't go to those smaller but very nearby things. We've got the whole Bay.
Right. Yeah, I just went to a burn in March, or maybe it was April, and it was just this year, and it was in the mountains. And it was the coldest burn, I think, ever. And it snowed overnight.
Oh, wow.
We woke up to several inches of snow in the morning. Very cold.
That's March for you.
The best thing that you could offer was propane heat at this burn. But it was fun. It was about 100 people. So very small, very intimate. And,
Oh, that's lovely.
a few of my friends got together, and we didn't know a thing about the burn when we signed up to go. And then as we got more information, thinking about what happened last year, we saw like their post-burn report that they'd had about 100 people in attendance, and there was 7 of my friends going. I'm like, you guys, we're going to be 7% of the burn. Like, we could be a pretty significant camp. So we actually set up a bar, and we're one of only like 2 very organized bars at the event. So
so you were popular.
we were one of the hot spots. Yeah.
Nice.
What was the name of your camp?
So our Burning Man camp is Bearwhalia, and so our mascot is half bear, half whale. And so we thought for the small burn, it was called the Colorado Burnal Equinox, that we would do kind of the cold weather spin-off of that. So we were the Narbears, which is half polar bear, half narwhal.
Nice.
And so we had a bar called the Narbar.
Oh, it just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it actually did. So, yeah, our little brother camp to our big burn camp. It was a good time. We just had a little Costco carport as our structure, had it almost fully sealed in because it was windy and rainy and cold and snowy. So we needed all the walls up, and had some fun nights bartending. It was just 2 nights up there. One of the highlights was somebody asked if they could cook some stew in our tent, because they were going to do it outside, but it was actively snowing. So we had a little person just making stew in the corner. And then a lot of people sitting around having drinks and anticipating stew. And it was awesome.
That sounds so cozy.
It was. And one of my friends lent like some nice humidity to the air as well. So if you ever just need to add a little humidity, just make some stew.
It's going in the notebook.
Hot tip.
Do you also do Apogea?
I have not gone to Apogea, but I have tickets this year and planning to go.
Nice.
When is that?
Apogea is in June, first week of June, I think.
Well, that's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that tiny burn was my my first official regional. So
Oh, cool.
starting to reach out into the regional. So I'm excited.
In Burning Man and regional spaces, are you an Ellen on Playa, or do you have a Playa moniker?
I am Ellen on Playa. I gave a Playa name a shot in 2019, my third burn. I was getting a little antsy about Playa names, and I actually went to... Someone had a booth set up where, like, get your Playa name here kind of thing.
Ooh, that's a crapshoot right there.
I know, but she was lovely. I think her name was, like, Dirty Panda, if I remember correctly. And she did a whole ritual, some kind of essential oils, and was like doing a breathing thing with me and centering, and had a wheel after the centering exercise was done. I spun a wheel, and each part of the wheel led to a cup where you pulled a name from the cup. The first name I pulled from the cup was Adorable. My heart just sunk. I was just like, ooh, this is not going to work. She said, can you see people calling you adorable? Like, hey, adorable, how's it going? And I said, no, absolutely not. And so she said, all right, let's try again. And so I pulled another name from the cup, and it was Razzle-Dazzle. And I was like, these are just getting worse. I don't know about this. And she said, you know what, let's just spin. This is obviously not the right category for you. So we spun again and pulled another name out of another cup, and it was Nova. And I liked that. I'm like, you know, that's nice. And so I tried to go by Nova for a short while, but it was one of those situations where nobody actually called me that. Mm-hmm. And so it just never actually became my name, but I just kind of, in my mind, think of my Playa self as Nova just because I have nothing else to call her. But no one calls me that.
So if you want to own that Playa name, the secret is that you have to like join a volunteer team or something, some outside group, and just start as Nova. So then you get this collection of people who refer to you that way, and they'll eventually overpower your friends.
I was going to say just buy like a bunch of sparklers before you get to Playa and be like a sparkler lady.
Yeah, it's possible. I could try to keep that name going, but I think I'm just going to wait and see. Wait for one to attach more naturally. But it was fun going through the whole ritual of getting the burn name and trying that out for a while. So
that is the better outlook. Proper Playa names are the ones that you don't seek. They find you.
Yeah. Though I don't have one. I've given a couple.
What's your favorite?
So in 2019, there was the Wizard of Oz house. It was like black and white and had the fire tornado outside.
Oh.
Did you see that? It's like amazingly, they let people operate it.
Nope.
Themselves. So it was like, you know, the tornado outside the Wizard of Oz house. And there were people who were all geared up and they obviously knew what they were doing, but they would let you come up and operate the fire tornado on your own. And I remember them telling my friend, now, this is how you do it. This is how you aim it. Don't pull the trigger past this point. And my friend just goes, wrenches the trigger all the way.
Don't tell me how to trigger.
Grinning. Yeah. Grinning ear to ear, this massive fire tornado. He was just having the best time. And then, you know, went on our merry way and came upon a self-serve hot chocolate bar where they had Baileys and all kinds of stuff to add into it. And he just pours about half a bottle of Baileys into his cup. And so I told him his name was Excess, and that one has stuck.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a solid Playa name.
Yeah, he definitely embodied that spirit. It was his first burn, and he was just grinning to ear the whole time, soaking it up.
That's the kind of name where when you introduce yourself, you're opening the door for situations. Hi, I'm XS. Yeah. Oh, really? Well, step into this side room. Let's test that theory.
I would like to be a known quantity.
So, Ellen, you called to talk to us specifically about something that we've mentioned on the podcast a couple of times at least.
The Burning Man Pops.
Well, specifically, how could you bring a cello or what have you into the desert?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm part of the Playa Pops, which is one of several live music organizations that happen on the Playa. We were the first organized orchestra to assemble on Playa. Yeah, we have people bring everything out from percussion. I bring a flute, which, I've got the easy part here. The flute is like pretty easy to bring out, but we have people bringing cellos, double bass,
instruments you can't just put under the faucet.
Right? Yeah, we have a harpist, and actually we had 2 harps sign up this year.
Holy hell.
Aren't harps like $17,000?
They are pricey and, not made for that environment. And the people who bring them to Playa are truly dedicated.
Mm-hmm. And not easily transported.
Oh, no, they're heavy. They're heavy and delicate. And you're dealing with the heat that can warp your instrument. You're dealing with dust. And just the difficulty transporting it around. So I think when you see the orchestra assembled like that in and of it, we could not play a note. Just having us be there in and of itself is impressive.
How big an orchestra are you all putting together?
Probably about 50 to 60 people.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so we are a full orchestra, strings, winds, everything. And
do you have a conductor?
We do. So over the years, we've had a couple different conductors, and this is my first year as director. And my first job was to find a new conductor. So that was quite a challenge. How do you find that intersection between conductor that's serious enough to keep herding the cats together to make an actual orchestra happen, but playful enough to know that the cats are going to be cats and is going to be participate in the burn. So
can't just get anyone swinging their arms around in the middle of a crosswalk.
No.
So are you trying to find a conductor in the world of music and then bring them to the burn, or are you trying to find a burner who's a conductor?
Yeah, so those were the 2 kind of approaches. And ideally, you find a burner who is a conductor. Acclimating someone to the burn is a much bigger job than, acclimating someone who's already been there to be the conductor of our group. Because our group has some idiosyncrasies in and of itself, because a lot of our players aren't professional musicians. Mm-hmm. We welcome anyone of any ability. So if you, like me, just saw the Playa Pops play and thought, I have an instrument in the back of my closet, I would like to play with this group next year, we absolutely welcome that.
I have a baton. Oh, yeah.
Maybe you could apprentice and be a backup conductor.
Oh, I could swing my arms and go up on my toes.
Ooh, I'm writing that down. But yeah, it's a great group, and I ended up finding a burner who is also a conductor through what we'll say is internet research. I found a few people reached out to them. Person that ended up becoming our conductor, his name is Brian, and I just found him online and started poking around on his socials and saw that he followed some burn stuff and thought, take a chance. And did kind of an interview process with him, make sure he was on board and make sure he was qualified. And yeah, he's great. He has some great fun ideas and is going to bring a lot of fun energy to the group this year. He's really into adding more audience participation in the form of sing-alongs. So
fun.
That will be fun. Yeah, we try to do a mix of classic tunes and also recognizable pop tunes or movie themes, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This year, there'll definitely be more of a sing-along element to it.
Nice.
That would be fun.
Oh, I do like to sing in big groups where no one can hear my mistakes.
Yeah, that's why I like to play in groups as well. I don't play my flute ever by myself as a performance. So, yeah, 2018 was my first year with Pops.
And that was your second year on Playa, right?
It's right, yeah. I saw them play in 2017, which was my first year on Playa, and just was reminded of the good old high school band days and playing in a group there, and thought, I haven't played since middle school and high school, and I miss being part of a group like that. And what better way to basically dust off my old instrument just to get it dusty again with a group like this.
You started in 2018, and now 4 burns later, you're directing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That tracks.
Yeah, so
love our duocracy.
I know. It happened. I didn't think that I would ever be kind of in charge of the group, but I'm do like a lot of admin and just making sure everyone has the info they need. Yeah, just getting like coordinated with different venues. So the Playa Pops musicians do not camp together. We all camp on our own, and then we just come together for our rehearsals and performances. So everyone just rehearses on their own at home. It's my favorite part of burn prep, actually, just playing and learning all the pieces. And then we arrive on Playa. We have 2 rehearsals where we iron out the kinks, and then we have typically 4 shows that we play. And we have different camps that host us. So camps that have nice infrastructure for a stage or, room for an audience, definitely shade, room for bike parking, stuff like that. We partner with them. And we also typically play at summer camp.
That's great, because I was going to recommend that as a place with bike parking and shade.
So much
equipment.
shade.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen this year. I've been in touch a little bit, but we haven't ironed out exactly when, if we're playing at Center Camp this year. But it was probably our most epic show in 2022 because our show was on Saturday. So big dust storm day.
Oh, wow.
And the dust storm had been raging for 2 or 3 hours already. And I'm heading down to Center Camp thinking, is anyone even going to be there? Are the musicians going to be there? Is anyone going to be watching? What's going to happen? Are we even going to do this? We get there. Almost all of the musicians showed up. And we just decide, we can barely breathe. We can barely see. But let's do it. Let's do a show anyway. And it was probably the highest energy show I've ever been a part of. Partly because the flags above Center Camp were blowing in the wind so hard that we had to compete with that sound and play over that. So we're not allowed to amplify in Center Camp, and you couldn't really amplify an orchestra anyway. So we had to play over the sound of the whipping flags, and that just amped up the audience. It amped up the musicians. It was probably one of my favorite shows I've ever been a part of.
That would have to be a pretty enticing and epic experience for your average burner to be like heading towards Center Camp to hide out from the wind, and there's this orchestra just like bawling out in the middle of a dust storm.
You can't have all fit on the stage.
We set up in the center.
That makes a lot more sense. Wow, so you're like really central to anyone's view as they come into Center Camp for shelter in the middle of this storm.
Definitely. Yeah, sometimes our shows, we have to just start edging out the acro-yoga people and just start setting up. We just start having to claim the space.
Good. They squat there all week. They'll be back as soon as you clear space.
Exactly.
They're like granola cockroaches.
They're like a slime mold.
They just kind of absorb around us and keep doing their thing, and we do our thing. It works out great.
Yeah, if you played long enough, eventually you'd find some like 45-pound woman balancing on top of a double bass.
Yep. I bet that would happen. We played also last year at the Red Nose District, which was on Esplanade. And we had some aerialists that performed with us. They were just kind of in the background on the stage, and then we were in front of their aerial stage. Yeah, so the Morgan sisters did some aerial performances with us, and that was amazing. So we're hoping to build on that this year.
Oh, you know what would be a great venue for you guys? Thunderdome.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. We were talking about this last night with my burner friends around here, and how cool would that be if people could climb up on the dome and look down?
Uh-huh.
That would be so epic.
Okay, Death Guild, if you want to be cool, reach out to the Playa Pops and please make this love connection happen.
Absolutely. I think that would be amazing.
You guys could play the score from Thunder Road?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fury Road?
Fury Road. Yeah.
Thunderdome? Dome Fury?
Definitely tailor the music to fit the vibe, and then maybe they could give us some fashion tips.
Leather and shoulder pads.
Right.
and whatever it is you're wearing, spray paint it black.
Right.
Them's the rules.
Got it.
So what's your experience been like playing with Playa Pops?
It's been amazing. I joined in 2018. I had to get the whole fingering chart out again and learn how to play the notes. I had almost no recollection of how to play the flute at all. So I still remembered kind of how to read music and how to perform in a group from school. But as far as actual musicianship, it had all gone. So I was starting from scratch, but I did have a flute. And we provide the pieces 5 or 6 months ahead of time. So people have a nice long time to get familiar with the music if you're in that same boat where you haven't played in a while. We're not springing a piece on you, the month ahead of time. You have a good long time to look it over. So yeah, I practiced all the time to try to get decent and did my best. But had just the best time with the group. Everyone's really friendly and the music choices are really fun. We play at a few different camps, as I said, and we also do a temple show, a daytime temple show, and the center camp show. So I was definitely hooked on being part of Playa Pops from that time.
That temple show must get intense.
It can, yeah. That one's we run that one a little bit differently.
That one's not as much of a sing-along?
No, not as much, no.
Weird.
You could do a dirge along.
Eye of the tiger.
That's right. Yeah, so one of our classic sing-along or play-along pieces is we distribute kazoos to the audience, and they get to play Ode to Joy with us.
Perfect.
We don't do the kazoos at the temple. We usually play an abbreviated show with just some more appropriate pieces. Yeah, no Eye of the Tiger at that one.
I think I have a Playa Pops kazoo.
Do you? Oh, well, you're well-equipped.
But I don't remember playing it in a performance. How did I get it? What is your most interesting and unexpected story that has come out of your time with Playa Pops?
That center camp dust storm definitely stands out. And we've had some temple dust storms as well. No matter what the temple design is, we usually play in the morning around 10. So there is a shady side, and so we set up outside on whatever side is the most shady. But you're still very open to dust storms rolling through.
Yeah, there's no city out there to protect you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one year, I think it was 2018, I was wondering if I would even find the temple at all because there was some storms rolling through while I was on my way out there. So just kind of a bunch of musicians wandering around in the desert looking for the temple itself. But yeah, when we all get together and play through the dust, it's an indescribable experience. Just the fact that we've all overcome so much to get there, and now we're playing music together. It's very sappy and wonderful, and I love it so much. I almost cry during almost every song that we play because I'll start thinking about the whole thing, how we went from everyone playing in their living room all the way around the world to everyone convening in this spot, and now all these people are listening, and yeah, I have to try to stay focused or else I'll just burst into tears at every song.
It is kind of overwhelming to think about how much effort from how many hands goes into these deliberately ephemeral and fleeting moments of aesthetic glee.
Oh, yeah.
Have there been any low points for you as a Playa Pops performer or just as a burner in general?
Well, for Playa Pops, we're subject to the same challenges as everyone else out there as far as getting a large group together. We had an issue last year. So we played at the Skinny Kitty Tea House, which has an amazing stage. They have this giant saddle-shaped dome, and we've played there for years. But their location was slightly different than what we thought. They gave us their placement address, but where the dome was actually set up was just slightly different.
I had a hard time finding them this year, too. They were kind of tucked.
Yeah, and their dome is huge, but it's weirdly, the closer you get to it, the harder it is to find it. You can see it from a distance, but not up close. So we actually had an issue with musicians finding that show, and that's where we actually had some rehearsals as well. So we had quite a few challenges as far as getting everyone in the right place at the right time, and it's not like you can just send out a text to everyone and get everyone on the same page. So there are many challenges, and I'm going to be prepared for that as director this year. But of course, the challenges that we have this year are going to be totally different. So we'll see.
How many of your musicians ended up at the bar at the far end of the alleyway, one block closer in?
I don't know where everyone ended up. We were about half strong at one of our rehearsals because people couldn't find us. So this year, we not only need more musicians, we're definitely accepting more musicians. People can sign up on our website, playapops.com. And you can get the musicians to play. But we also need just kind of helping hands, too. So even if you don't play an instrument and you just want to kind of be a gopher for anything that comes up. For example, we were playing our actual show at Skinny Kitty, when a camp down the road started putting on a very loud DJ set. And we had to send someone over there to plead with them, like, please, there's an acoustic group that's playing right down the street. That's only for another 15, 20 more minutes. Can you turn this down or turn this off for that time? And we're able to get them to cooperate.
You can press spacebar on your laptop literally any time.
Yeah, apparently they were reluctant, but finally decided to, so that we could, because we're not amplified, as I said, so we're competing against a big sound system. So yeah, we definitely need some people who are just willing to go, yell at people who are being loud DJs, or, scoop up musicians who are wandering around. We're easy to spot. We're carrying music stands and big instruments and stuff.
Someone is rolling a harp over.
Exactly, and they look lost. So yeah, we're definitely in need of some assistance with that. So if people want to sign up, they can get my contact info on our website and offer a helping hand. Or if anyone's a videographer or want to lend any gifts to the Playa Pops, we would love it.
Do you have a flare gun? The Playa Pops need it.
Right.
Oh, that would really help the musicians find their space.
Mm-hmm. Not a marine flare gun, though.
For reasons, I'm sure.
Well, because they are supposed to hit the water and keep glowing once they hit the water. And if you have one like that, it's going to be burning when it hits someone's tent.
I see.
And then you've burned down a quadrant.
Well, yes, no flare guns then.
Are those not contraband? I don't remember.
Yes, they very much are contraband.
Okay.
Do not bring flare guns to Playa. As funny as I am.
No glitter and no flare guns. Got it.
Not even that biodegradable glitter. Nothing biodegrades in the Playa. It just gets sunbaked.
That's right.
So how did you end up as part of our cult in general?
Your cult, the Accuracy Third cult?
No.
I was going to say.
The big cult. We're a schism.
Yeah, we're not that
a proper
presumptive.
I see. So the big cult, I had some friends who were going probably in the 2014, 2015 era, and was hearing about it from them. And the typical, I had no idea what was going on, but they told me it was all about the art. And I was like, I feel like you're just saying that. It's not just about the art.
That is
more.
That's probably like the one universal truth that is the hardest to believe.
Right.
Nobody actually buys that it's an art party.
Exactly.
Yeah, this art party you're describing sounds like a great place to do drugs.
Right. Exactly. The quote unquote art. Right.
Oh, you're camping for a week, are you?
So you're saying this orgy is really tastefully decorated? Question mark?
Right. So I'd heard of the Orgy Dome as one of those. And I just had a picture in my mind that it was similar to the Thunderdome in that you could just ride by it and it was like kind of an open air thing.
It ought to be, right? Like it sounds like a bacchanalia.
That's what I thought the Orgy Dome was going to be. So
The sheriffs say no.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, sheriffs are ACAB too.
Once upon a time, I do think there was a dome-shaped structure involved, but it's been a long time since it was just carports.
Right. Well, the orgy carport just doesn't quite have the same ring. But yeah, that I've been hearing about it for a couple years. And in 2017, it was getting really close to burn. And a friend of mine saw that there was a ticket being sold in the town where I live. And he said, he's reached out to the person, and if I'm interested, that he would put me in touch. And so I started thinking about it. I did have time. I was taking some time off from work at that time. And, I could do this, but the question was, do I want to? And so I asked another friend who'd been going for years, said, hey, do you think I would like this? And he was very non-committal in his response. Maybe, I don't know. I was like, really? I thought you'd be more enthusiastic, but I think he didn't want to be on the hook in case I hated it.
Yep.
It's a safe move.
Right.
Like, I will generally tell people you're either going to like it a whole hell of a lot or not at all, and you'll know fast.
Right. And he was a seasoned enough burner to probably know, not to fully commit to that response. So that didn't really help. But I decided to go anyway. But I got the ticket from an artist who was coming from Fort Collins as well. And we met up at the coffee shop inside of a grocery store, and he basically vetted me, and I got to see that the tickets were real, and he gave me the ticket and the vehicle pass and the survival guide and the atomic fireball. So
nice. Hey.
The complete little package. And he also said that if I didn't have anywhere to camp, that he had been allotted like an art support camp, basically just, a plot of land where he could camp, and he said that I could park there if I needed to. Yeah, because I had no idea what was going on. Like, theme camps, what are those? Why do you need one? Do I need one? It's too late in the game to join one. So that's what ended up happening is I ended up camping on the art sport land with the artist, and it was just him and his RV and me and my truck. So it wasn't much of an art sport camp to speak of, but it was a place to pull up.
You had almost like the full solo Burning Man experience.
Yeah, I had 2 weeks to get ready, and fortunately I wasn't working, so I had solid 2 weeks to get ready. That was my job, to get ready. But I've been camping ever since I was a kid, and I think a lot of that kind of knowledge helped me. So I was pretty prepared, I would say, for my first year. Nothing fancy, no bells and whistles, really, but I had all the necessary gear.
I think it's impossible to be thoroughly prepared for Burning Man, especially your first year. But if you've done a solid amount of camping beyond like extremely light glamping, you've achieved a big hurdle. At very least, you know what it is to sleep on the ground.
Right. And to just have, the basics that you need, the survival basics and stuff like that.
But also your tent is almost certainly inadequate.
That's right. Fortunately, I had built out the back of my truck with a topper, and I had a bed in there. So I'd actually spent some time traveling up the West Coast, visiting friends and going to parks and dispersed camping. So I had my little camper for one set up in the back of my truck already. So that was great. It keeps you off the ground. It keeps the wind off. It keeps the dust under control.
Much more so than like a mesh vent on your tent.
Exactly. Yeah. Any tent that I would have had would have been way too meshy to be good in the playa. So that worked out really well. So I was camped at that art support camp. Basically, it was at like 315 in A.
Oh, nice.
And my friends were camping probably like 4 in G-ish. So I would just kind of go over to their camp most days and hang out with them. And so that was the Bearwhale Camp. And that's how I got to know the rest of the members of that camp. And that's who I camp with now. So I was kind of like an orphan that just sort of hung out with them a lot.
What was the experience your first year that got under your skin to the point where the hook was set?
I was really kind of curbing my expectations. I'm like, you're probably not going to have a transformative experience. Nah. It's not going to happen. You're going to have a good time. You're going to see what this is. You're going to hang out with your friends. It's all these things you like. It's hanging with your friends and riding bikes around. And it's going to be fine. You don't need to have these sky-high expectations. But I had quite the Playa Magic experience my first year, and I think that pretty much hooked me, among other things. This story, I never seem to tell it the way I want to, but I will give it my best shot. So 2017, it was my first day on Playa. Met up with friends at Bearwhale Camp, and we went out to just see Playa in the daytime. And we went and saw Mucaro, which was the owl, the wooden owl by El Nino. And it's just this beautiful owl with these moon-shaped eyes, and it's a couple stories tall, and you could climb up this kind of spiral staircase, and it's lined with books and school supplies and pictures of teachers because it's dedicated to all teachers. As Nino's, the artist's mom, was a teacher, so that was the dedication for Mucaro. And was climbing up to check this out, and looking out of the eyes, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I thought, oh, he wants to look out of the eyes, so I step out of the way. And I turned, probably just said something silly like, I don't know, like, yeah, let me get out of your way, or I don't know what I said. But he was staring straight at me and saying, I have a message for you. And I was just not sure what he meant, and I was like, okay, what do you mean? And he said, I have a message for you from your father. And I got really pissed off because I was like, all right, these burners, like, I don't know this culture yet. It was my first day, but I know that there's a lot of fuckery involved. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what, hive of bees you're poking right now, because my dad had passed away a couple years before. But I got a little mad, and I was like, hey, man, you don't know what you're talking about. And he was just like pale white and still fixated on me and said, no, I have a message for you.
Not a presumptive white guy.
Yeah, he was even whiter. And my friends are standing there, very protectively listening to all of this. And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And he just held me by my shoulders and started telling me, a lot of messages from my dad. And a lot of them struck a chord. My dad was a very hands-off kind of father. He didn't tell me that he loved me enough as a kid. And he was apologizing for all of this, through this man, and was, saying some things that really resonated with me. Also, my dad was a teacher. So we're standing in this owl that's dedicated to teachers. I know that if someone says enough stuff, and you're in the right frame of mind, you can make the connections, and you can think oh yeah, that applies or whatever. But there was something about this man's presence and his sincerity and the look on his face. It was almost like he didn't want to do this, but he's like, I am being compelled. And my friends would back this up too. If they hadn't seen what I saw, I would doubt that this ever happened to me. But it was really profound and powerful. And, it ended with you crying and hugging. And we walked away from this owl just going, well, what was that? That was crazy. And so, yeah, there might be something to this Burning Man transformative thing. We went to look up later in the week, we went to look up when Mucaro was set to burn. And that owl burned 3 years to the day of my dad's passing.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. I went to that burn, and yeah, one of the most powerful experiences of my life.
Yeah, no wonder you're in the cult. What an initiation. Holy cow.
The McGick is strong with you.
Woo.
Yeah, that is phase one of this story.
Can I ask one detail just out of my own curiosity?
Yeah.
How old a person are you? You don't have to be exact.
I am 41.
Yeah, you were in your mid-30s, which is not an age at which you do cold read guesses that someone's parent has passed.
Right. Yeah, my dad died at 65, definitely too young for his time. It was pretty tragic. But yeah, that wouldn't have been a solid guess.
Yeah.
For someone. Yeah, so that was, already sticking with me quite a bit. And I stayed later than everyone I knew on Playa that year because I wanted to watch the temple burn. And so I was alone on temple burn day that year, and I decided to go to an ecstatic dance event. And while I was on the dance floor, I see the guy that gave me this message that was just so fixated and so solemn in the owl that night. And he's on the dance floor, just grinning ear to ear, like having the best time. He was just the most like jolly person ever on the dance floor. Like a lot of people in ecstatic dance are like take themselves very seriously, but this guy was silly and light and playful. And I just kept an eye on him for the whole like 2-hour dance thing. Cause I'm like, at the end of this, I really want to talk to him. So I did. I went up to him at the end and reintroduced myself. I was like, hi, I'm the person you spoke to in the owl. And his face just fell and he started bawling. And he told me that a couple of times in his life that's happened to him where he's felt compelled to give a message like that. And it was only one of a couple times. And he asked to just hear about my dad, and I told him some stories, and I thanked him for the message, and we hugged and went on our way.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a lot of goosebumps for one story.
Yeah. That's phase 2 of the story. So it continues on into 2022. In the meantime, I get a tattoo that's loosely inspired by Mucaro. I have an owl with moon-shaped eyes, and it has like a Colorado mountain scene on the inside. Just kind of representative of that experience, but of some other things that I love as well. And I was out by myself in 2022, just riding around neighborhoods. I was picking up some moop, and someone comes out of their camp. They see me picking up moop, and they said, hey, thank you so much for cleaning up. Come in and have a drink. And their camp was Pull My Finger. And it was like
don't pull their finger, though.
Fart-themed bar. And in there having a drink, talking to people, and this man named Oscar sees my tattoo, and he says, hey, I'm looking at your tattoo. He says, my friend made an owl on Playa. And I said, no, he did not. I said, are you talking about Mucaro? And he said, yeah, he's El Nino. He's right over there. So I get introduced to Nino, who made this incredible art piece that I had this incredible experience with, who I have been wanting to tell him this story forever, but I didn't want to type it up in an email. I really wanted to tell it to him in person. And all of a sudden, at this fart-themed bar, I was having the opportunity to tell this artist that impacted my life so greatly the story of what happened in the owl. And I tell him, and we're crying and hugging, and Oscar and I are crying and hugging, and everyone else in the fart-themed bar is like, what is going on over there? And so we end up hanging out, and I'm just hanging out with Nino. And he said he was having a tough burn, as many of us were in 2022. And he said that hearing that story was just really uplifting for him and validating as an artist, and, reminding him that his work is powerful. And I didn't have any clue that it would mean as much to him as it did to me. And we ended up hanging out together, and we went to Spanky's Wine Bar. Hanging out at Spanky's Wine Bar with Nino. This is just so surreal. So we're friends now, and I went to help him clean up when he took Atabay, which was his piece. He brought a fish to Playa in 2022, Atabay. Mm-hmm. And so I went out to help him do the strike and some moop cleanup there and stay in touch. And yeah, I can't wait to see him in 2023. That so far is the whole story. But
I love that why I came back to Burning Man after my first year story is potentially open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, this is a story that's going to have a part 6 eventually.
I wonder. I mean, I wouldn't have anticipated part 1, definitely not parts 2 and 3. So we'll see what happens next.
Wow-wee.
So I will have to say the best party I've been to was Robot Fart.
I like that there is this fart through line in your stories. Please tell us about Robot Fart.
I hadn't put those together, but I'm a girl with many GI issues, so this does make sense. The fart theme runs deep. Yeah, so Robot Fart was a party that my campmates and I stumbled onto last year out at the trash fence. Another one of those, let's see what's going over there kind of things. We bike up, and there's it's a car. It's just like a janky car with a sign on it that says Robot Fart, and everyone there is a robot. And we had to fail a CAPTCHA to be able to get in.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, that's very funny.
Yeah, one of our campmates failed the CAPTCHA, and they would not let him in. So.
Or passed the CAPTCHA.
Right. Yes, he was deemed to be human. So everyone inside the party was just blowing off steam that, isn't it great that we have a place away from all the humans and they don't know that we're here, but we know that we're here and we can gather together now. And everyone stayed in character. They were giving out lip balm that was branded as orifice lube.
I also would have accepted whole grease.
And they were playing robot-themed music. The one I can remember that they were playing when we were pulling away to leave was like a Flight of the Conchords, The Humans Are Dead song, where there's a binary chorus.
001010110. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, the commitment to the bit was great.
That sort of performance art experience is the thing I crave most at Burning Man.
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful.
I just want to find myself in the middle of someone else's bit to play into or not.
Yes.
Exactly. And you can challenge the bit or roll with it.
Like going to the Ren Fair dressed as someone from the Ren Fair, that is funny. But going to the Ren Fair dressed as someone from Star Trek, that is fucking gold.
Yeah, you play with it the way you want to play with it. And that's the joy of it.
Do you have any other bits you want to leave us with before we wrap on up?
Just another plug for the Playa Pops. Come see our shows. You can find out about us on our website. You can come be a musician with us. playapops.com. Yeah, we have some fun stuff this year, so come sing along with us.
The music in this episode is stolen from the Playa. And that was Ellen's Incredible Stories.
Little peek behind the curtain, friends. We usually record for about 2 hours. We end up getting hour-ish, sometimes a bit less of material after we cut out all of our banter and going back and forth and what have you. We had a little bit of technical hiccup getting connected to Ellen. Recorded for like an hour 20, and D-Day looked at each other and we're like, we couldn't possibly get any more. It was such an incredible story.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long this episode is yet, but you have the podcast in your podcast app. And why am I explaining this to you?
Should we announce the host of our
party on Playa?
Playa Home Companion at 6 and E has invited us.
That sounds like some sort of audio camp.
It is.
It is. They record podcasts there.
Well,
They have a little stageroo.
That seems pretty perfect.
Yep.
It sounds like the party on Playa is going to be Wednesday of event week at 2 p.m.? Question mark?
At Playa Home Companion, 6 o'clock and E right on the corner.
6 o'clock in E is the address. The time of the party is 2 p.m. and it will end at 4 p.m. to 4:30 sharp-ish.
Right. Don't come late. We will be too drunk and overwhelmed to talk to you.
We will bring some bottles of fancy booze.
Yeah, we will have nice alcohol for you provided to us by our Patreon subscribers. Lovely folks who help us keep our internet up and make sure that we can buy patches and make sure that we can have halfway decent cocktails and other things to offer you at our party.
This year, we're going to try to make pins. Will we make pins? You'll find out at Burning Man. How expensive are pins? How long does it take to get them made? We will all find this out as the summer progresses.
Whether they're pins or not, there will be swag for you, and there will be 3 of us being rather uncomfortable, some more than others.
The music in this podcast is from the Playa Pops. We've got Comfortably Numb and also Bach's Concerto #1 or some shit. I can look on my
you
phone.
don't give a shit. Do you know which Bach concerto you give a shit about? None of them.
Yeah, it's
dude,
one that goes.
this one's pretty good. That's Ode to Joy,
That's
and
not
it's
Ode to
amazing.
Joy.
Is that canon in D? That's canon in D. Yeah. Which one's Ode to Joy? I like that one too.
That's
God, it's right there at the tip of my brain. Da 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 da.
Yeah, canon in D is better. Fuck Ode to Joy.
I associate Ode to Joy with the Ludovico treatment.
Yeah, because of that.
Ludovico treatment.
That's where they wedge your eyes open and show you horror
We have
movies.
got to show Beth Clockwork
I've
Orange again.
Seen it.
Beth, we're never going to get through Kubrick's whole oeuvre if we have to keep rewatching Clockwork Orange once every 7 months.
Get to keep watching Clockwork Orange once every 7 months.
I've seen Clockwork Orange enough.
Oh, listeners, second media recommendation of this podcast. If you have not yet seen Beau is Afraid, watch Beau is Afraid. It's available for streaming. It is 3 hours long, so pee ahead of time. And if you like to watch movies in a state other than baseline, please be my guest, but be cautious because it's going to take you on a ride.
Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third.
That's us. Give us your stories so we can make podcasts.
Email, website, social media, and I'm out.
I have had like some great experiences in a lot of art pieces. I really love the pier. I had so much fun at the pier.
Oh, yeah.
I went out there with some friends once, but also went by myself and snagged a hammock underneath and just swinging underneath with the breeze blowing through in a hammock. That was pretty awesome. Just finding those little spots to chill and look out and watch people bike by are really fun.
That piece did such a great job of evoking a marine experience in the driest place you can imagine.
It did. You could almost smell the salt air. Mm-hmm. But I also love a puzzle. So any art piece that's also a puzzle to be figured out, I love that, to the point where I think a lot of art pieces are puzzles and I'm determined to figure them out, but they're not.
I have that too. I spent like 15 minutes trying to solve the train station this year, but I don't think there was any mystery to it.
I think we all kind of get that. I spent a lot of time walking in a circle around one of the big shiny human figure pairs because they had a bunch of cutouts in them. And I was convinced that if I saw the cutouts from the right angle, they would form kind of a gestalt shape.
Right, and you got to grab passerbys because if we all put our hands on this thing at the same time, it's going to do something. And then there's the, is it working at this time question?
Right.
Is this what it's supposed to do?
Or is it broken? Or is it just not a puzzle?
Or is it unfinished? Like, will it be a completely different thing 2 days from now?
It was supposed to be a puzzle. I think the first puzzle that I encountered was in 2017, and it was out in Deep Playa. It was like an Old West kind of scene. There was just a bunch of different buildings, and one of the buildings had a puzzle with a bunch of clues that eventually led you to a 4-digit code that you could type in to a door that would let you into a secret room. So I think that led me to think that everything was a puzzle.
Yeah, that's a Lost Outpost.
Yeah, I never knew the name of it, but it came out in 2017 and again in 2018.
Yeah, it was like a little cluster of buildings and like a bathtub.
Yes, there was a bathtub, and I think there was like a button that said, do not push this button, and so of course that was getting pushed all the time.
Yeah, I think by the time I pushed that, it was broken.
Yeah.
Aww.
Or you just didn't figure out the puzzle.
Yep.
I'm sure broke the first time somebody pushed that button. That's why the label was on it.
That was a great place to just hang out. My friend Juana and I were sitting out there. There was like an outhouse thing with just a couple toilet lids. There was no toilet, a bunch of toilet lids that you could kind of sit on to represent the outhouse. And we were sitting there just watching burners come and go, and people would give us things. Like, we just sat there and were receiving gifts. We got stickers and patches and popsicles and
Yeah, great thing about sitting in an art piece like that is eventually people are going to assume you're part of it.
could be.
And then you can just start fucking with them.
And then the crowning gift we got that day was some people pulled up on bikes, and they had like a big cooler, like a big, like Gatorade cooler kind of thing, and some vodka. And I was called out to them just kind of joking, like, hey, are you guys the Mobile Bloody Mary bar? And they said, yes, we are. And so we hopped off hopped off the toilet seats and got in line for that. First in line for the Mobile Bloody Mary bar. So that was a fun experience.
Wow, you really carry the Playa magic with you. You manifested a Mobile Bloody Mary bar.
That's pretty great.
On command.
Yeah, like if someone asked me that, I would absolutely say that, yes, that's what this is, even though it wouldn't be. And as soon as they lost focus, I would bike away.
They had everything. They had just bags of, all the accoutrement, like the olives and the pickles and the celery, just everything.
Oh, they made you one of those salad in a cup brunch spot Bloody Marys.
It was. Yeah, it was a couple servings of veggies for sure.
So whoever's running that this year, you should reach out to us and let us know where we can find you on Playa. Because I would like a Bloody Mary 5 months from now, please.
Yes, give us your route, please. We'll intercept you.
Oh, yeah. They said they just pick a place one time per burn, and we just happened to be on the right spot at the right time.
That's
I
incredible.
love that.
I love the small stuff. I mean, of course, I love the big art pieces, but I just love the little things that people do like that. Like just little things you find in the neighborhoods or just small offerings that people do. It's so amazing to run into those because you're one of only maybe 20 or 40 people in the whole city who got to be a part of that.
There's something about the scale of art out there that is really kind of magical, but it's not just the scale at the scale of spectacle, it's the scale at the scale of minutia too. Like the detail that people put into aesthetifying the experience out there is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere, and some of it probably never even gets seen or noticed. If it's really, really detailed or really hidden, but someone will find it and they'll be absolutely thrilled.
And some of it is just straight trash.
Eye of the tiger.
Wowee.
Weird.
That's right.